What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In this video, I wanted to talk a bit about resources in Destiny and how it would be nice if Bungie changed some things going forward. We are obviously swimming in all types of resources in Destiny, and I feel very bad for any new player that just starts playing, because it must be completely overwhelming to try and learn what everything does and how you acquire all these resources the game has to offer. With the recent changes to Trials of Osiris, which have been great by the way, we now have the ability to purchase weapon and armor from Saint 14. And as Bungie mentioned in their TWAB, it would be expensive. For a regular weapon, it is a Trials engram plus 20,000 glimmer and 100 legendary shards. That certainly is pretty expensive, and for an adept weapon, it is 250 legendary shards, 50,000 glimmer, and a 7-win Trials passage. Now, I have no problem at all with Bungie charging lots for these. I will gladly pay a high price to focus farm exactly what I want. I think it is a great change, and I hope they make similar changes to all the vendors in the future. However, with that being said, I think a few things desperately need to change. I made a video a while back bitching about the artifact reset cost, as well as the cost for switching mods on armor. As someone who loves to tinker with builds, this is extremely oppressive for me. But one of the reasons it is so oppressive is because of the glimmer cap at 250,000. I bank ships and sparrows to break down going into new seasons because at this point, glimmer is always my lowest resource. And it should not be this way. Bungie needs to raise the cap on all the resources in my opinion. 10 ascendant shards is stupidly low. You masterwork 3 exotic armor pieces and you're out. And enhancement prisms are pretty much rained on us these days, which I'm not complaining about, but the fact they are capped at 50 is just dumb. The only reason my inventory isn't capped on them right now is because I've been upgrading all my blue armor and breaking it down as a way to use some prisms and gain enhancement cores. And even with doing that, between my inventory and my postmasters, I have well over 100 still, and GMs haven't even come out yet, so I'll be capped before I know it. I also have 12 ascendant shards between my postmasters, plus 6 in my inventory. We shouldn't have to use the postmasters as a backup vault. A few hours of farming GMs on double loot week will get you completely capped on shards and prisms real quick. The absolute max you can hold is 200 total prisms and 40 ascendant shards, so please just raise the cap, Bungie. Make it 999 for shards and prisms, and let the people play. And raise the glimmer cap to at least 1 million or 999,999, but I would honestly prefer if it was infinite. If they are going to have all these systems in place that cost a bunch of glimmer, then it needs a higher cap. Buying upgrade modules, masterworking armor and weapons, resetting your artifact, which is dumb as hell by the way, slotting armor mods, buying bounties, and now buying certain loot from Saint 14, that is not even all of the sources where you have to spend glimmer, but you get my point. It should not be capped so low. I'm sure many of you out there are in the same boat as me, where glimmer and legendary shards are now your most prized resource. It costs 10,000 glimmer, 15 legendary shards, and 17 enhancement cores to masterwork a weapon. Okay, that's fine, but what if Bungie implemented some type of equivalency trading? Like, pay that, or pay 20 enhancement prisms or 1 ascendant shard to masterwork that weapon instead. Or some type of vendor that you can trade with. Currently, you can buy prisms and shards from the gunsmith, and they are quite costly. But what if the reverse was true? What if you could give the gunsmith an ascendant shard, and receive those resources instead? It costs 50,000 glimmer, 100 planetary resources, and 10 prisms to buy an ascendant shard. Even if I got half of that back, I would make that trade. I would trade 1 shard for 25,000 glimmer and some prisms, if there was not a cap on shards at freaking 10. I would farm GMs like crazy and have like 500 ascendant shards if it meant I never had to worry about glimmer anymore. I think the trade-in system would be the best personally, as you could use the resources that you do have to get the resources that you need. But alternative pay methods like I mentioned would also be super sweet. Either one would be a big upgrade from what we currently have. Say you could buy an adept weapon for the current cost of 250 legendary shards and 50,000 glimmer, or buy it for 10 prisms and 2 ascendant shards, or a regular weapon from Saint 14 at say 5 prisms and 1 ascendant shard, would you do it? I guarantee most hardcore players like myself who do a bunch of endgame content wouldn't even bat an eye. I actively look for ways to spend my prisms and shards at this point. I have pretty much all the armor I need masterworked at this point, and with so few places in the game to spend shards and prisms, they basically feel like a waste. Yet, at the rate I am going, I will be out of legendary shards by the end of the season. So often, I can't even reset my Valor at Shaxx because I am capped on prisms. So please Bungie, raise the glimmer, prism, and shard cap. It is needlessly restrictive. If you agree with this, or have any other ideas on how Bungie could change this system, please comment them down below. I would love to ignite a discussion on this topic in the hopes that Bungie is listening and maybe we can incite some change. And since I am ranting, I also want to bring up another contentious issue, which is vault space. Obviously we need more of it, that is no secret. But one thing I want to point out is an issue I am sure a lot of you run into as well. Yes, I have some weapons I could probably get rid of, I regularly purge my vault, but that being said, I'm a content creator who plays all 3 characters and I love making builds in this game. So when I get a God Roll exotic armor piece, I want to keep that for when I want to make a video on it. Or if the meta changes, I want that piece around for when it is actually good. Look at what just happened to Stormdancer's Brace. The thing is awesome now, and I am glad I had a good one sitting around. Anyways, the change I want to talk about is actually with upgrading armor and weapons. The last thing this game needs is another resource, but I am going to suggest something that may somewhat work like that. In my vault currently, I probably have like 10 weapons and armor, if not more, that are just infusion material. They are drops at 1330 light, just so that I can use them to infuse into armor and weapons that I may need in the future. I just finished shooting all my Lost Sector videos yesterday, and a lot of the time I wanted to use a certain weapon, so I would have to upgrade it just so I could use it in a Lost Sector build. And this may happen to you too. Say you go to run a GM in a few weeks and you really need a solar bow. You go to your vault and see you have an old Tyranny of Heaven, but it is only 1100 light, and you can't upgrade it because you don't have any infusion fodder, so then what? You have to grind some random stuff to hopefully get an energy weapon to drop, but say you are just at the light requirement for GMs, so then it has to be a powerful or pinnacle drop. This is just one instance where it is really annoying, but leveling and upgrades is a whole other tangent for another video. But take my Swarm machine gun for instance. I wanted it at 1330 for one of my runs of the K1 Crew Quarters Lost Sector, so I used one of the 1330 heavy weapons I had in my vault for infusion material. However, with vault space so restricted, it is super annoying to be hanging on to 10 plus items just in case. Or worse, you want to use something, but don't have anything to infuse into it, so you're just screwed and at the mercy of RNG. What if once you hit pinnacle cap, there was some type of resource that dropped every time you dismantled the 1330 pinnacle? So instead of hanging on to all these energy weapons, I could just break them down and then get something that can be infused later into an energy weapon if I need it. This would save me a lot of very much needed vault space, as well as not make the pinnacles or powerfuls that you completed to earn that gear before a complete waste. It's just a thought I had. I would legitimately play this game a lot more if I weren't held back so much by some of the restrictions that are currently in the game. I work full time and make content fairly regularly, so I value my time a great deal, as I am sure you do too. So why would I play and grind for stuff that I can't even keep? With the current structure of armor needing to be a certain element to run certain mods, I have 3 or 4 of the same exotics for certain builds. And as someone who plays all 3 characters, your vault just isn't big enough for all that. So hopefully Bungie changes some of these systems. They have made great strides in the game in many areas recently, and I have no doubt that they are always working to improve the game. But I just wanted to bring light to a couple things that have really been holding me back of late, because I am sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. If you agree, then please share this video around to maybe get people talking about this in hopes that Bungie can make some of these changes possible by next year. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me complain. We all just love Destiny and want what is best for it. Anyways, that is enough from me. Thanks for watching and take care.